AEW has existed long enough for the highs to be contextualized, the lows to be critically analyzed, and the future to be forecasted with enough evidence informed by the recent past. And with that, regrettably, comes the reality that some wrestlers feel a little more past their sell-by date, rather than being as elite as the company initials might once have suggested. Look, not everybody can thrive in a promotion, but the more time Tony Khan spends on Ring of Honor, the more chance there is of the likes of these feeling even more past their best. With that in mind, I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture, and these are 10 wrestlers with the AEW stink. Number 10, Orange Cassidy. With AEW operating relatively successfully as a roster rotation promotion, it's a shame that the statistical spreadsheets haven't found a way to make Orange Cassidy just as popular as a part-time performer. An awesome and over gimmick, even now that it's been a little overexposed, the persona works as well as it does because it proves All Elite Wrestling to be the place for pro wrestling artistic impression. But criminally, the company have allowed the joy to feel a little diluted, or at very least wear a bit thin. Danhausen's debut, which was very nice, very evil, during Orange Cassidy's match with Adam Cole, forced the former to crack a wry smile, as if he knew he was about to be ousted as AEW's most popular novelty megastar. Though the circumstances are never ideal, a compromise may have been reached as a result of Cassidy's shoulder injury at Revolution. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and the recovery time should provide a much-needed break, and his first since the group launched with him as a key signing in 2019. Number 9, Matt Hardy. The arrival of Jeff Hardy in AEW will, and already has, provide the company with a number of thrilling short-term outcomes fans will loudly praise. An immediate face-off with Darby Allin and Sting brought about a mix of dream pairings rooted in a nightmarish past. Speaking of the past, look no further than the EVPs. The Young Bucks rematch will be as hot as hell, even if it doesn't reach the peaks of their 2017 Ring of Honor Classic. But after that, what is there? Look, Matt Hardy's AEW CV is a ropey one. He had a cursed feud with Sammy Guevara that didn't elevate the young star as planned, and the Hardy family office's nonsensical construction and unsatisfactory motivations has at times made thrilling TV shows feel like clogged toilet bowls. It's not just Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade that have found themselves marooned, though. Number 8, Andrade. There were fewer wrestlers released across both 2020 and 2021's mass WWE cuts that felt more can't miss than Andrade. Gifted with a propulsive engine that powered his hybrid lucha style into something far more dangerous and a gazillion-dollar look to go alongside it, it seemed staggering that Vince McMahon had failed to maximize his earnings with the former NXT champion. Regrettably, though, there's been far too much of the same going on with him in these supposedly sunnier climes. He might be turning a corner, but the fact that this can only be posed as a question rather than presented proudly as an exclamation speaks to the titular stink. At this point, and stop laughing at titular, it's simply not enough to have that rampage ripper against Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin, especially when they do it against almost everybody. The AHFO split from Matt Hardy is the make or break moment for Andrade. How he thrives in its aftermath will test his mettle not just as an in-ring maestro, but as a true top-level singles star. Number 7, Jake Hager. Jake Hager has happily walked behind Chris Jericho since AEW launched in 2019, playing the bodyguard role reasonably well when he wasn't expected to do a great deal more. His natural deadpan lent credence to his task as the Inner Circle's simpleton hoss, but it's become even more apparent how far below his old and new colleagues he is in the AEW pecking order. A failure to emerge with much credit after labored efforts against Dustin Rhodes and Jon Moxley in AEW's first year did that reputation no favors, and only when tagging with Le Champion has Hager felt anything close to the peak standard expected on Wednesday nights. Jericho legendarily bantered off Hager's old "We the People" catchphrase on the second ever episode of Dynamite, but that death blow might need undoing in the months to come if the former World Heavyweight Champion finds himself on the outs. It was a bit stupid, and it did come from bad creative, but at least it was over. Number 6, Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian has recently been clocked in AEW audiences with a bag on his head in a character that appears to mirror the strange demonstration made by actor Shia LaBeouf on red carpets back in 2014. The concept is as dated as the wrestler himself feels. Look, there's no way for this not to sound patronizing, but right now Kip is a heck of a hand and not a lot more. The gimmick isn't without an intriguing end goal, but the company have dropped stuff cold before. Number 5, Varsity Blondes. Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrett Garrison's treatment in the recent pre-Revolution Casino Battle Royal suggested that a recent dalliance with the House of Black may have left a mark even after the toxic juice cleared. They are on a humiliating run at present, and though a ranking system needs losers as much as it does winners, those looking at the lights are supposed to be people you pay to see defeated or hope to see pull through. Are the Varsity Blondes either of those? Pillman Jr. flushed a lot of goodwill away with a series of odd choices on and off screen, and Garrison, meanwhile, failed emphatically to get even a measure of comeuppance for the physical and mental torture he suffered at the hands of Malachi Black. They are not people to get behind, but as babyfaces, they're not people to boo either. A reckoning might be coming one way or another. The doomed feeling around the duo suggests either a heel turn or a split is forthcoming, and one or both can't get here soon enough. Number 4, the Dark Order. Once a rejuvenated presence alongside Brody Lee and a reinvigorated one with Hangman Page, the Dark Order have faded from relevance and often from view since Page became AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Though the group were still on hand to run off Red Dragon in the closing moments of the Revolution pay-per-view headliner between Page and Adam Cole, they are seemingly doomed to a life of jobbing on Rampage and Dynamite forevermore unless they formally sever ties with the World Champion. Once, this might have been quite charming, but the magic of the group has fizzled to the point where they probably should too. A heel turn now might scan as insensitive, but a formal and gentle split wouldn't sting in the same way. It is okay for groups to outlive their usefulness and part ways amicably. It'd be smart for AEW to remind fans of that. Number 3, Men of the Year. Within the confines of the kayfabe AEW likes to keep, the Men of the Year act is all over the bloody shop. Scorpio Sky is a wrestler who tweets his employers to ask why significant success in their mandated wins-losses ranking system isn't generating more title shots for him, and the post-Revolution TNT title win was more than overdue. But the failure of his push up to this point was damned by how many viewers immediately assumed he'd just be a transitional champion. Ethan Page debuted at Revolution 2021 and has only been a Man of the Year in the sense that he's literally existed on television for the last 12 months. His singles form doesn't put him in the tier with Sky, but the duo are nowhere near tag gold either. That speaks to something, but it isn't progress. And speaking of speaking, Dan Lambert as a mouthpiece has never quite worked either. The American top team gaffer rules on the stick, but the very barbs he launched at Cody Rhodes and others from his Jim Cornette-shaped platform should theoretically stick to his charges too. We're asked to ignore that just because. But yet again, molehills become mountains when there's no major success to speak of in the one thing that matters most: winning wrestling matches. Number 2, Best Friends. There's a certain wholesomeness about Best Friends that may in fact never subside, and a number of grandiose payoff matches have suggested that the longer term the feud, the more powerful the catharsis will be when they finally come through. But they're a bit crap, aren't they? One awesome match every 6 to 8 months doesn't make a worthy stable, but with the recent dissolution of the Inner Circle, the collapse of the Pinnacle, and the likely eventual ruination of Jurassic Express, Death Triangle, Dark Order, and the Elite, potentially leaves Trent, Chuck, and the gang as the last holdouts from the original collection of AEW groups. It's only because they've never hit heights that Best Friends don't feel part of that discussion, save the occasional angry face Trent has pulled since returning with a shaved head. Chris Statlander's great, but even she feels anchored by association. Friendships are good, but in wrestling, they are permitted to fall apart, and now's the time. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. Number 1, Penta Oscuro. Even simply saying Penta Oscuro as if it reflects any significant change behind one of the lamest AEW entrances ever gives more credit to a gimmick that is a shift in name alone. Penta wrestles as Penta always has done since AEW launched in 2019, pissing around while knocking out terrifying head and neck drops without care for the transparent tonal dissonance. Short of the brief spell he wore the Joker attire, the Oscuro look doesn't actually differ that wildly from the attires he's used either. And Alex Abrahantes is an even more infuriating presence than he was when he wasn't dressing like he'd robbed a bloody Halloween costume shop without even settling on a single theme. He can contribute to Total Rippers in the same way he always did, Penta this is, not Alex, as proven during the Wicked Revolution buy-in trios match against the House of Black. But beyond that, Death Triangle have sadly lived down to the first part of their name rather than serving as the backbone of a nascent trios league. This cartoonish rebadge doesn't bode well for addressing this doomed concern. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, and you can find me on there at Adam Wilborn. Thanks for watching. I've been Adam from What Culture. I'll see you soon.